Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. I don't know how many of you caught the story about the Tour de France cycle race at the weekend. The very first stage of this year's Tour de France, and there was a massive accident with lots of cyclists running over each other and falling on top of each other, all caused by a spectator who's standing by the side of the road, held up a sign which in German said Granny and Grandad, and turned to face the TV cameras, holding up the sign and not even looking at the peloton, the group of bikes that was approaching. And so one of the cyclists hit the sign, he went down, others went down on top of him, and it was a disaster. Multiple riders crashed to the ground. One had to withdraw from the race, the tour altogether, because of his injuries, and 8 of them had to be treated by the official medical doctor for the tour. It was obviously an incredibly stupid thing to do, but people do stupid things. In 2018 in Russia, there was a woman in an art museum who tried to take a selfie with her friends and ended up knocking down a wall and damaging priceless works of art by Goya and Salvador Dali. There was another woman did the same thing at a museum in the United States and caused over $200,000 worth of damage just trying to take a selfie. In China, you get crazy things happening as well when people do stupid things. A woman getting on a plane in Shanghai for good luck threw a handful of coins into the engine of the aeroplane. She didn't mean any harm by it, but the whole flight had to be cancelled and the engine had to be stripped down, and hundreds of people had their schedules changed, massive costs to the airline and the airport. Also in China, there was a woman looking at some jade bracelets in a shop, and she tried on a jade bracelet and then was told that the bracelet cost $44,000. She was horrified, tried to pull it off her wrist quickly, and it fell to the floor, and you've guessed it, it broke in two. Now, these are all examples of somebody doing something incredibly stupid, but we can't gloat because we've all done stupid things that have ended up having consequences beyond what we ever expected. Now, I'm not talking about somebody deliberately doing something wrong. I'm not talking about malicious vandalism or anything like that. But sometimes with no harm intended, we all do or say something stupid and then afterwards realize with absolute horror that it's had consequences that have hurt other people. I'm very aware of this as a preacher of the gospel, that sometimes, the words that I speak can have great influence. They can have influence for good, but they can have influence for harm as well. I remember one time years ago, just making an offhand humorous comment as I saw it while I was preaching a message that I never intended any harm whatsoever, but it ended up hurting tremendously a member of our congregation, a lovely person that I would never ever want to hurt in any way. And I was mortified afterwards and had to go and apologize and seek forgiveness because of my thoughtlessness, because of my stupidity. So, you know what? I'm not going to get on the bandwagon of beating up on this person that basically destroyed the first stage of the Tour de France through her stupidity, because I've learned that we can all be stupid. And in some ways that was a disaster that was waiting to happen. I'm not a cyclist and I'm not a cycle fan, but I have seen during the big cycle races the spectators running really close to the bikes along the side of the road. And I've often thought, man, this is going to go wrong someday. And it did. What that woman did was stupid. However, I wouldn't beat her up for her stupidity. Unfortunately, she did not stay to deal with the consequences of her actions. The latest report I saw was that the police were seeking her, and no doubt they will find her, as her face appeared on television and on numerous news sites around the world. But instead of staying and apologizing and dealing with the aftermath of her stupidity, she apparently cleared off as quickly as possible. And that is something that we should never do. Yes, we will do stupid things sometimes. We all do it. I wish I could do a take 5 that would tell you how to avoid ever doing anything stupid. But you know what? I would be a liar and a hypocrite if I did it, because I've not learned how to avoid sometimes doing stupid things. But one thing we can do is take responsibility for our actions, to stay behind when the consequences affect other people, and to take whatever rebuke or punishment comes our way, and to try to do our best to fix the situation and make it better. So today, if you find yourself in a situation where you've said something or done something that you wish you hadn't done, and you wish you could put the clock back, but you can't, I would say to you, don't run away from the consequences of your actions. Face up to it, deal with it, and that is one of the greatest ways to ensure we think more carefully before we do things in the future. May God bless you today, and I pray you'll have a great day, and invite you to join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.